Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome the winner of the Eason Novel of the Year, Green Road, Anne Enright. Now, Anne, obviously you won the Booker in 2007 for The Gathering. You've been long-listed for the Booker this year. You've been feted internationally all over the world, really, over the years. So what is the significance of winning this award on home turf, I suppose, for you this evening?
Yeah, you know, when I came here with The Gathering in 2008, right, I didn't know where I was. My head was wrecked. And I didn't know who I was talking to. I didn't know what the room was. And now in 2015, I'm delighted to say I do. I know... there's a distinctive energy in that room, those writers and those shortlists, that makes me feel very much at home, and so it feels like coming home. But yeah, that's what it means.
Can I talk to you a little bit about the book, obviously, and this mother, Rosaline, at the heart of it? Because she's kind of the main matriarchal figure in it, but you've lots of mammies in the book. You know, we've Constance is one version,
yeah.
Hannah is another. What is it about the Irish mother and all the different guises of her that draws you as a writer, do you think?
Well, there isn't one Irish mother. I mean, the word mother means either this amazing kind of figure in our lives who loves us forever and all, you know, is a kind of an archetype. And then there's just women who have babies, who are human beings, like you or me. And so in each of the books that I've done in the last 3 books, they have all had different styles and types of personality who have incidentally given birth. And Rosaline is the latest in that line. But also, yeah, Constance and Hannah are also mothers, and they find it variously wonderful and terrible.
And terrifying and frightening.
Terrifying, yeah.
There are also men in the book, the other 2
yes.
sons in the book. The way the book is structured is fascinating because you're doing these interconnected stories of all these children and their mother, but you yank us all over the place. Geographically, even, you know, in terms of decades, we're suddenly New York, we're back, we're over. Do you like challenging your reader with that, or is it just something you're writing anyway and we just have to go along with the ride?
I have a lot of respect for the reader, and I want the reader to enjoy the jumps or enjoy the gaps, or to make up the book as well. I mean, in the gaps between those sections, the reader has to do a lot of the work and say, okay, so Dan didn't become a priest. What was all that about? And almost you have to write the book for yourself in some way. And I kind of trust the reader to do that. You know, I'm not I want the reader to enjoy in every way, including being engaged and kind of making it up themselves, yeah.
Well, I remember spending a lot of the time moving to the next bit and then having to go back to double check where something was. And you really made us work for this book.
You think?
Yeah, I think it was great.
Was that awful?
No, it was wonderful.
Well, oh, good. Oh, good. Well, I mean, sometimes you read a book and you say that was great, and then you don't know what it was. And sometimes you're in a book. So I want the reader to be in the book.
Now, can we talk about the fact that you've got a very posh title as well? You're the laureate.
I have.
The laureate, that happened earlier in this year. What does it mean for you to be the laureate for fiction in Ireland, for writing in Ireland?
It's been a great year, actually, because there's so much buzz in Dublin, in the towns around the country. There's so many good new books coming out, and I go around the place and smile. And it's very easy to smile. And it's a kind of quite sociable and nice, I have to say. It was a great honour, and I have to do some teaching in UCD and then in NYU in New York next year. And I've enjoyed it really a lot. I think it's a very good idea to have a laureate. It gets an extra little bit of lift to the whole business. And going around the country, people like the formal element a bit. They like, you know, we all have our ideas about individual writers. We say, oh, we've got that book now, and why don't they write a different one the next time, and that's wrong, and this is wrong, and I knew their cousin, and I'm sure their mother is very upset now about that, and all the rest of it. But then if you kind of remove all of that individual sort of knowing that we do and give it a title and say the laureate, then everyone is kind of proud of the tradition, of the how it's a living tradition, and I think they recognise that and like it, and like the formal aspect.
You have long been an advocate for women's voices, both on and off the page. And when we look at, say, the success of The Long Gaze Back with Sinead earlier this evening, are you heartened by the amount of women writers that you've been seeing on this list?
Well, you know, I've been in the game for a long time, and this year I kind of think it's happening. It's really happening. The confidence that's in a variety of female voices is actually, there's a huge confidence in the male voices as well. There's a kind of feeling of energy and diversity, and that the old certainties, I think, aren't working for us anymore. And people are really coming up with new, quite urgent stories, telling it again, you know, and so many of them are women, and I'm delighted. I'm absolutely delighted. Yeah.
2 more questions, then you can go and finish your wine, I promise. One is, I was at the launch for Sinead's book, The Long Gaze Back, and I was really struck by that thing you said in your speech where you talked about that very simple sentence, the cat sat on the mat. And you talked about the fact that if a male writer writes something like that, immediately it has urgency.
Gravitas.
The mat becomes a moral object, I think was your phrase.
Yeah, no, it's a very significant cat.
But a woman writes it, and you said it becomes
but
domestic.
also when a man writes, it's a very elegant and simple statement of something like fact, but perhaps with more significance to it. The mat is a kind of territory, the cat is... And when a woman writes it, and it's just domestic. But, I mean, we see this, I mean, when people... some woman recently sent out her book under a male name, and she got 2 or 3 times as many responses, and they were much more interested and all the rest of it. And they were the same words. So absolutely the same words shift under our gaze when we know it's a woman or a man who has written them. And, you know, men have always... I mean, there's one thing men are really good at between ourselves.
Don't tell them.
Is they're very good at being important. It's quite a skill, right? And women haven't been good at being important for a long time. And I think they're, you know, I think that's changing a little. But that sense of importance, we invest in male prose, and we have been slow to do the same for female prose. So you give, it's a kind of feedback loop. You give women the space, and they shine.
Finally, then, what is your own plan for celebrating tonight? Are you going to be dancing on tables?
Anyone who says I danced anywhere, on any table, in any town, including this one tonight, is lying. And I bitterly resent that implication. And I'm talking to my lawyers now, very shortly.
Well, if you want to congratulate Anne, she'll be sitting quietly in the corner sipping water. So please go up to her. Anne Enright, what a joy to have you here tonight.
It's
and
lovely
huge
to be
congratulations.
Here.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.